这是你第几次回到这里了？
我没数过，第1121次。
3年，几乎每个夜晚你都在这里，但你仍然找不到答案。而随着时间的流逝，你的记忆正在消退。
别妨碍我，我一定会查明哥哥遇害的真相。
那你可得抓紧时间了。
This is all the case files here. You can take your time reviewing here. I'll go get the paperwork ready for your signature.
哥哥遇害下午，程守臣在图书馆读书。警方走访了图书馆管理员乔治，确定程守臣有明确不在场证明。吴松是哥哥的好友，据说两人曾发过激烈的争热。吴松涛在哥哥遇害前一天突然离开英国，警方没能联系他，没人知道他为何突然离开，但这地构成了他的不在场证明。附件中的这份离境记录让警方最终排除了吴松涛的嫌疑。郑夫人所述当天坐在门晒太阳，听房玛丽等咖啡厅员工确认为事实。曾阿姨自述熬药，经调查其医疗记录，得知她身患绝症，医生判断最多还有1年寿命。这是琼斯警官在案发现场找到的摩斯码指盘，指盘的中间是一个6边形的凹槽，与电报机上的形状一致。纸带的一端被反折过来，形成了一道奇怪的弯曲。纸带的内侧比较大，有一些磨损痕迹。软带上印满了长长短短的横线，是摩斯码电文。警方已经将电文完整破译了。这里有5封贝尔先生写给哥哥的电报，最早从案发前2周开始。目前调整后的药物在小规模试验中效果非常显著。那件事不是你的错，不必自责。药物研发之路本就布满荆棘，继续坚持，相信你能克服困难。你的情绪看上去很糟糕，保持乐观。如需协助，随时联络我。我理解你的顾虑。明早9点办公室面谈。这是夺走哥哥生命的匕首，刀刃上的血已经年轻。如琼斯警官所说，相较一般的漆手，这把手更轻。警方在匕首上提取到了2枚指纹，都是哥哥的。奇怪的是，2枚指纹的位置都在刀柄末端，刀柄末端的环上还有轻微的火燎痕迹。这是案发房间唯一的钥匙，案发时就握在哥哥左手中。经检验，钥匙上只有哥哥一人的指纹。这是钥匙的照片，外表看起来很有东方特色，图示故意分繁琐。经过检查，这把钥匙内部有一个侧切机制，很难被复制。墙上挂着一张地图，是不同警局的辖区划分示意图，图上连出红线指向不同的案发现场。地图显示郑阿姨家在警区威威斯敏斯特警局管辖。书架上堆放着上千封信件，竟然是10几年前轰动英国的全案开膛手杰克案件的来信。里面既有提供信息的举报信，也有宣称是凶手写的挑线。这是一份8月16日的《台北时报》，上面最大的版面是关于一场火灾的报道。伦敦圣玛丽医院于昨晚起火，灾难造成了20名患者的死亡。据目击者称，当晚9点左右，火灾在医院的2楼爆发，并很快蔓延到整个医院。消防队和医护人员正在紧急处理事故，着火原因还在进一步调查中。接到报警后，警方对可疑人员逐一进行排查，但他们都有不在场证明。加上案发时房间是密闭的，钥匙在死者手中，因此推断为自杀。在警长约瑟的敦促下，警方去现场做过几轮补充侦查。警方还走访了哥哥常去的圣玛丽医院和餐厅等地，但依旧没有发现能够推翻上述结论的决定性证据。这份案卷是哥哥的尸检记录，尸检时约瑟亲自做的。综合尸体的表征，可推断死亡时间在下午2点至3点之间。死者因利器刺穿左肺动脉，引发大量内出血，进而导致出血性休克死亡。死者身体反曲，曾怀疑是的凝中毒，但并未检验出相应毒素。死者4肢指尖均有瘀伤，指甲缝中有物线，右脚脚背有一处刚愈合的伤口。死者身上未发现其他伤口，没有试探伤。此外，死者的身上有指挥衣服上沾有烙印。 这是警方的讯问笔录，讯问的对象是程守臣、戴尔先生和房东郑夫人。
Officer, I am a distinguished graduate of UCL. How could I possibly commit murder?
There's competition between ye and the victim, Brian Shen. Besides, you were the last one to see him, before Brian returned to the apartment.
I did see him, but you can't condemn me as guilty just because I saw him, right?
Whether you're deemed guilty depends on your answers to the following questions. On the day of Brian's death, August 15th, someone claims to have seen you two arguing.
We had no argument. It must be someone trying to smear my name. I can explain that. At 9 a.m. that morning, I was going to the Wandsworth Library to borrow books, passing by Pimlico. I saw Brian coming out of Mr. Bell's office building. I greeted him, but he pretended not to hear. I was angry. I grabbed him to confront and discuss the situation.
Just because you greeted him and he did not respond?
Not exactly. Mr. Bell's research project should be mine. He stole it away. He not only shamelessly took my project, but also deliberately ignored me. Wasn't that infuriating?
So you got into an argument with him over that?
I didn't. He seemed absent-minded, not responding as if he couldn't hear what I was saying. Later, someone looked our way, so I let him go. There was no argument at all.
Whether you're deemed guilty depends on your answers to the following questions. Where were you between 1 and 3 in the afternoon that day? And what were you doing?
I spent the entire afternoon studying at the library, then returned to the lab in the evening.
Is there someone who can vouch for your whereabouts?
The librarian named George can testify for me.
Whether you're deemed guilty depends on your answers to the following questions. You ken of others who might bear a grudge against Brian?
I wouldn't know. I'm usually focused on my academic pursuits and don't mind others' business.
Mr. Chang, please cooperate with our work.
I really don't know. Only one time I overheard him having a heated argument with Stone Wu.
What's the relationship between Stone Wu and Brian Shen? Do you ken why they had an argument?
They are friends. Stone often borrowed money from Brian. Their argument might be related to money, but I'm not so sure about specifics. But I heard Stone recently made a fortune. Moreover, he hurriedly returned to China the day before Brian's incident. Definitely fishy.
We'll verify. Whether you're deemed guilty depends on your answers to the following questions. Mr. Bell, sorry for the trouble.
After all, Brian was a researcher in the project I funded and a friend of Joseph's. I will do everything I can to bring the truth to light.
Heard this funding project is about opium cessation drugs?
Opium cessation medication is one of Watson Pharmacy's core businesses. We have always placed a strong emphasis on research and development in this area. In fact, the person we initially funded wasn't Brian, but his classmate, Toby Chang. Unfortunately, Toby had lofty ambitions, but little progress after 6 months. Joseph introduced me to Brian. He was facing pressure from the Sassoon family due to his research. The Sassoons benefit greatly from the opium trade. They will by no means stand idly by. When I saw his research progress, it only strengthened my determination to support him. Also, the reason Brian studied pharmacy and aspired to develop better opium cessation medication was because his family was ruined and devastated by opium. I believe he is the most suitable person to carry out this research. I will do everything I can to bring the truth to light.
Someone hear ye having an argument with Brian in the office on the morning of August 15th?
At 9 a.m. that morning, I had arranged to meet Brian for coffee to talk his recent conditions.
How's she been faring recently?
The research faced some difficulties, and Brian was feeling quite down about it. I encouraged him to hold on, but he suddenly became very agitated, so we ended the conversation. It wasn't like his usual self. I intended to talk to him some day later, but...
How long has he been in this condition?
In fact, during that period, his condition was quite worrisome. He became very pessimistic. In hindsight, I should have kept him a bit longer. I deeply regret that now. I will do everything I can to bring the truth to light.
Where were ye between 1 and 3 in the afternoon on that day?
There was a pharmaceutical industry seminar that afternoon. I was invited to deliver a speech.
Understood. Your alibi is solid. For now, that's all.
Officer, may I add a few more details?
Aye, of course. Please go ahead.
Brian's research on opium cessation medication touched upon the interests of certain groups. I don't want this case to be overly influenced by external factors affecting police judgment. I also trust that the details of the case be kept confidential.
Aye.
I will do everything I can to bring the truth to light.
You police, let bad guys go. Bother this old lady instead.
Mrs. Chang, I brought you in for questioning because on that day you were...
Only one at scene? Suspect me as murderer just like that? Which fool would murder in their own home?
Mrs. Chang, if you...
Ridiculous! Dare you stop brewing my medicine, curing illness, extending life?
I'll try to keep it brief. Where were ye between 1 and 3 in the afternoon on that day?
You ask where I was? It was Hungry Ghost Festival. Taboo to go out that day. Soak up sun, dispel bad energy. Been sitting in front of house sunning myself. You foreigners understand or not? On that day, Ghost Gate opens. Avoid going out.
I'll try to keep it brief. During that time, did anyone else enter...
Of course not. No one comes in without my permission. No one's getting in any day. Besides you police, who else likes barging into others' homes?
Did anyone else think you might have...
Yes! 2 guys tracking Brian. They've been staring at my house.
Aye, we've spoken to folk across the road, and nobody's laid eyes on the pair you mentioned. James and Mary from the cafe next door said the same. Are you...
I'm sure I didn't see wrong.
I'll try to keep it brief.